As I was traveling up from southern Utah, I stopped in Beaver where they have this creamery situation and delicious cheese curds. When I think cheese curds, I think poutine. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Chronicles of Chef. I'm Scott Hamilton, and in today's video, I have been inspired by cheese curds from a local creamery down in Beaver, Utah. Cheese curds make me think of three things. One, delicious snack. Two, fried cheese curds. And three, I think poutine. And I was trying to think of like a great way to just amplify an already amazing dish. We're talking tater tots, smoked chuck roast with, of course, Montreal steak seasoning, and this gravy that is out of this world. Let's get cooking. We're beefing up this poutine by using some chuck roast. I did like a medium-sized dice on it. I hit it with Montreal as an ode to our neighbors up north, Canada. We're using Montreal seasoning, and then I did a little spicy horseradish mustard on there as a binder, and I just cubed it up, threw it on here. So this is about 1 1/4 pounds. And what we're gonna do is, even though it's kind of on the chunkier side, we're just gonna drop it over here. I have a rack on this to make it nice and easy to have any of those drippings to use for our gravy that we're gonna make once this is all kind of cooked up and ready to go. I went cubed so that it can cook a little faster. You can leave it whole. You can smoke this. You can do this in a crock pot. You can throw it in the oven. There's all sorts of different ways. I'm gonna use my smoker because the sun is shining. It's a beautiful day. Might as well add some smoky, delicious flavor. The history behind Montreal steak seasoning is like that's the main rub for Montreal smoked meat, which is like a Canadian version of a pastrami. This was a seasoning in the brine, and then they turned it into a dry rub. So this is like ode to Canada. We're gonna take poutine to another level. Meat's all ready to go. Let's get it on the smoker. I have it set to 275, and then let's get working on some caramelized onions for this delicious gravy. Let's talk our caramelized onions for our gravy and for this delicious poutine that we're making. I was looking for a way to kind of umph up our gravy. And obviously the smoked meat is gonna add some flavor to it and everything like that. But I think caramelized onions, one, it goes so well with beef. The sweetness of a caramelized onion just plays so well with the beef. And one of the flavors of the cheese curds that I got from Beaver, Utah, the creamery down there, is green onions. So I thought, let's lean in on the onion. All right, we're gonna do about a tablespoon or so of some neutral oil. I'm using avocado oil. Any high heat oil will do. That's nice and hot. I just sliced up one onion, really simple, nothing crazy here. I'm gonna throw that in. We can kind of start breaking it down. Hit it with some salt. And I have this on a medium-high heat to start. Then we're gonna dial it back and just let this really slowly cook through. We've got time with the beef on the smoker. That's gonna take a couple of hours to get it where we want it to be, nice and tender, smoke flavor in there, and then we'll finish that in the gravy. So we got lots of time here to work with this. We're now officially starting to kind of fry, starting to break down those, which is great. Looking beautiful. And now I'm gonna add the whites of our green onion. So as you can see, where it still has rings to it. So even up into the parts of the green where you can tell that there's layers of the onion, that's where I cut to. And we're gonna throw these in here. Again, I don't wanna waste them. Fresh green onion on the top is gonna be a great garnish for greenery at the end. So this is gonna be great. I added those green onions, so I'm gonna hit it with a little bit more salt here. Oh, smelling delicious. Now, when I'm doing a slow caramelized onion situation like this, where I have the time to let things kind of break down slowly over time rather than speed the process up, I'm gonna make sure that I'm using water to deglaze the pan as I'm going. The water isn't add anything that's gonna burn. Instead, it's gonna pull the fond and everything up off the ground. It's gonna help release more of those sugars and everything from the onions and then reduce down and help kind of create a glaze without burning. The only thing that we're gonna risk burning is the sugars that are already coming out of the onions. When you add a vinegar, there's gonna be sugars in there. If you add apple juice, there's all sorts of other like kind of cheat codes that you can amplify the flavor of caramelized onions and speed up the process. You wanna use those when you're doing a quick caramelized onion. We got the time, so we're gonna take it easy. So a little bit of water here. We're getting some good color. And at this point, I'm starting to get some good caramelization. I'm getting color. I've gotten stuff fond off the bottom of the pan. I'm gonna drop it down to like a medium-low temperature. And now we're just gonna let this sit. And you wanna stir this kind of regularly. So every like 3 to 5 minutes, come back, give it a little stir, come back, give it a little stir. When there's no water, hit it with a little bit more water, and we'll come back to this. Our meat is looking delicious. It's about 150 degrees. We're getting there on that. Our caramelized onions are looking absolutely caramelized and delicious. I'm loving that. Yes. I'm gonna finish these off with a tablespoon or so of apple cider vinegar, just to add a little acidity and brightness, one to the background, because this is gonna be a pretty heavy kind of gravy and dish, and we wanna make sure it's balanced. So I'm gonna drop that in, give it a nice mix, and we're gonna let that reduce down, and then we'll get to our gravy and our thickening and all that. That is looking beautiful. When I was looking up different poutine recipes and figuring out what we needed to do, in my brain, it was a roux, and that's how we're gonna think of this gravy. But I saw all sorts of recipes where they use both a roux and a cornstarch slurry for their different purposes. The cornstarch slurry is gonna help the gravy kind of get a little more sticky. It's also gonna give it a nice sheen, but your roux is gonna give it that luxury kind of feeling in the background. So we're doing both. A roux, equal parts flour and fat, and that is by weight, not by volume. So I have 26 grams of butter here, but we're gonna melt that butter down to our 26 grams of butter, which was about 3 tablespoons. I weighed out 3 tablespoons of flour, which was 26 grams. We're gonna drop that in. We need to get everything combined. We need to make sure that we're cooking this flour so you don't have a raw flour taste. We're still gonna go with more of a blonde kind of roux, so we're not gonna cook it too long and get it too dark. We have enough of that umami and rich flavor, nuttiness and everything coming from our smoked meat and our onions that we don't have to take the roux far to get those flavors. Instead, we're gonna keep it nice and light. That flour is starting to get its natural nuttiness as it's toasting. And you just wanna keep this moving, and it's gonna kind of be more pasty. That's when you know you have a good roux, is that you'll see bubbles, you'll see fat, you'll see things working, and it's a little loose, but for the most part, it's coming together into a pretty good paste. When it comes to our broth, I did 2.5 cups of water, and then I added to that a teaspoon of roasted garlic bouillon and a packet of beef bone broth. I wanted to double up on that. And typically those things, you only need 1 cup for each of those measurements. But I'm gonna take a 1/2 cup and I'm gonna drop it in here right now. When you're working with your roux, you don't want all of the liquid in there. It's gonna be hard to mix it in and get that roux completely mixed in with everything. Oh, already looking so beautiful. I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire here. That was another thing that I commonly saw in poutine recipes, was Worcestershire was always in there. I think it's adding extra oomph to it. There's that umami factor. I'm a big fan. I think the smell is phenomenal. If you don't have Worcestershire sauce, that's okay. Fish sauce will actually do. It could be really fun and a little bit different. The flavor profile is gonna be different, but it's gonna hit that umami notes. And I am going to pour a little bit of our broth in here, and we're gonna give it a mix. All right, that's nice and mixed in. Go ahead and pour the rest of our broth in there. Now this isn't gonna be super smooth because we have those caramelized onions floating around in there. That's okay. I wanted those flavors. I wanted that little texture in there. If you didn't have it, this would just be a glorious, smooth gravy, which is delicious and great, but nothing that we need to be stressed about. We still got ways to go on things, but I'm gonna go ahead and give this a try just to see what our salt levels are at, how things are coming along. Ooh, nice and beefy. You have the Worcestershire, the umami in there. Those caramelized onions are really kind of the star of the background of it. Really, really good. It is gonna need some salt, but we're gonna hold off on any salting until we get the beef in here and all that kind of stuff, and we'll salt at the very end. We're gonna let this kind of just simmer and do its thing. Let's go get our meat off the smoker. This meat is looking absolutely phenomenal. We're getting a little smoke color on it. I'm liking that. Let's go ahead and give this a little tear. We're about 165, 170, which is perfect. I mean, oh, that Montreal steak seasoning is such a classic flavor. I love it. Okay. Yep, it's delicious. It's a win. We're gonna go ahead and get our meat into the pan here. Now the goal is to take our beef from its like 175 that it's at right now and take it up to about 200 degrees so that it will shred a little bit and get really tender and juicy. Be so delicious in this tater tot poutine. We're gonna add in our cornstarch slurry right now so that everything can be cooking down The cornstarch slurry can be doing its thing. The meat can finish cooking. And then the gravy should come out just about done when we're pulling out our tater tots from the air fryer. Cornstarch slurry. We got cornstarch and we got water. I do a hair more water to my cornstarch. So this is 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. This is about 2 tablespoons and a splash or 2 of cold water. Always cold water. And we're just going to kind of mix some of that in right now. Go ahead and give it a nice little mix. And you want this to be really nice and mixed together when you mix it in, because otherwise it's going to clump on you and it's not going to mix in and you're going to get lumpy sauce, and we don't want that. All right. Yep, we'll get the rest of our water in here. And even though we got the meat in here, it's going to be just fine. We're just going to kind of be stirring. And as we stir, we're going to give a nice pour of our slurry here. Oh, yeah. I think that I'm going to need to add some more liquid to this. I thought that the extra half a cup would have been enough. I think more like a cup to a cup and a half would have been better. So I'm going to mix together a quick little batch of 1 cup of bouillon and throw it in here. All right. Not just for frothing, it's a great little hand mixer. All right, yeah, see, we are just a hair more gloopy than I want to be. So we're going to add this whole cup. And I think that's going to get us to where we want to be. All right. While this is simmering and hanging out and doing its thing, let's get our tater tots into the air fryer. Tater tots. We're going to make as many, really, as this tray will hold, which apparently is a 2-pound bag. Yeah. I'm going to hit it with a little bit of oil from a spray can. If you have a spray bottle, that's great. Just a little bit of oil on there to help kind of with that crisping up process. We don't need heavy amounts of oil, so a little there it is. We'll go ahead and give it a little shaky shake. Get this in the air fryer. I'm gonna do 425, probably about 15-20 minutes. And if we need to do a double air fryer so it's like extra crispy, we will. Oh yeah, that is what I am talking about. Now you want to make sure that your tots or french fries are extra crispy because they're going to go against this gravy. You don't want to just mush too fast. You want to be able to have them stand up to things. Right when it first comes out of the oven, you want to hit them with some salt because it's still a little hot. The salt's going to stick a little bit better. After you've hit these with salt, you want to make sure that these are staying on a rack to keep the airflow nice, because the more airflow that we have around these, the crispier they're going to stay. We got a bowl here. We're going to throw some of our chives into this bowl. I'm going to throw a little King's Peak seasoning in here. But we're going to go ahead and throw some of these taters in here. Oh, yeah. Give them a nice toss. Let them get seasoned up. Oh, it's smelling so good. Oh, that crunch? Oh, yeah. They're going to be winners. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and dump out these guys in a nice little pile here. I've got the 2 different kinds of cheese curds, and I'm going to do a little bit of both. So I'm going to throw some of these jalapenos in here, throw a little bit of the green onion ones in here. You can throw them right over the top. That's just fine. I like to coat mine first because it's going to kind of help soften those cheese curds up a little bit. And there is our like little poutine gravy situation. We're going to hit it with a little extra gravy, some green onion, of course, a little bit more chive. Bam. Check that out. It is looking delicious. All right, I'm gonna make a little space here so that we can get tasty. All right, let's get trying this delicious poutine. Like, it is absolutely looking delicious and phenomenal. Get a little bit of everything here. Oh, the tater tots are holding up, which I love. I love that the gravy kind of softens up the cheese curd. You still get that squeaky cheese every bite every once in a while, which I love. I love that the cheese starts to slowly kind of melt. Fries are phenomenal, and I love French fries, but then every time I swap them for tater tots, I'm like, tater tots are so good. I wish there was a good way to make homemade tater tots. If you know of a way, then let me know. But the beef is so good, makes it feel nice and hearty. And I love that this is like very much winter, summer, it doesn't matter. I'd be eating this when it's 100 degrees outside, and it would be delicious and delightful, and it would just feel so good and delicious to be eating, like nachos, carne asada fries, all those things. But also in the middle of winter, oh, warm into the bone. It magically could do both. So hats off to you, Canada, for coming up with this deliciousness. Oh, all right, one more bite. because I just can't stop. Mm. I questioned the flour and cornstarch. It makes sense. The gravy does such a good job of staying rich and creamy and delicious. I put a good amount, but it's not soaked on the bottom. It soaks into the potatoes, but it doesn't get all runny, and it doesn't like coagulate and feel weird as it cools down a little bit. It just sticks and stays on it. Oh, doubling up for sure is the way to go, and I am all for it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like these kinds of videos where I'm putting my own spin on classic dishes or seasonal or trendy dishes, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I post videos weekly, everything from cooking fundamentals all the way to like diving into my own freezer to make something delicious. Food doesn't need to be that serious, but it does need to be that delicious. We'll see you next time.